Good afternoon. Well, let me just here. It's an honor to be here. I travel all the way from Brazil to come to this conference, and I'm very happy to be here. I've been learning a lot. We had amazing speeches here today. And I'm from Brazil, as Robert said. I work for Alana Institute, that is a non-profit organization that has been doing the last 20 years developing projects that the mission is to honor the child. So I am the coordinator of the Children Nature Project in Brazil. We launched the movement Children Nature in Brazil this year. We had Richard Lu with us in Brazil. We translated his book, This is the Last Child in the Woods in Portuguese. Does anybody speak Portuguese here? No? Oh, yeah. I would give. So it's going to go to you, Robin. You speak Spanish. And so just to understand where I come from. So I coordinate this program like the Children Nature movement and project in Brazil. So I would like to start just sharing some information about Brazil. Can you help me here, please? So it's also an invitation for you to know my country. I'm going to share a lot of my culture here. So the connection of kids and nature in Brazil is also very challenging. So 84% of our population lives in big cities, lives in urban areas, and 47% of people don't feel safe. Safety is a big issue in Brazil. We do have like a high level of urban violence, and this is one of the main barriers to keep kids inside. So we spend 90% of our time inside, and so does kids, unfortunately. So the average of kids that they spend in front of TV, it's 5 hours, 32 minutes. This is the average because if we visit like the suburb in Brazil, they probably spend like maybe 8-9 hours per day, so it's quite a lot. We have 30% of our kids, they are overweight, and we have 15% of them are already obese. And we are the second user of Ritalin in Brazil. We are only behind of you guys. So you are the first one, and we are the second one. So it's quite, yeah, so we became we worried about it, so we decided, well, we have to do something because naturally kids are not getting connected and they are not like having access to nature. So we probably have to start doing a project just to guarantee that they're going to have more access to nature. And another point that it's very common in Brazil is that we have a lot of traditional communities there. So we have 5 million people of traditional communities in Brazil. It's almost like a 1/4% of our population. And we have a big diversity. So we have indigenous people, we have fishermen, we have Afro-descendants communities that we call in Brazil quilombolas. We have people living in arid regions. It's more like in the Northeast. So anyway, we have a lot of like different traditional communities in Brazil, and I think that it's really important to look at them, like just to understand how they live and what's their lifestyle. So and the indigenous population in Brazil is also very big. We have nearly 1 million people living there. We have 305 indigenous ethnic groups there, 280 languages. It's a lot, yeah. And we also have 70 without contact, like we call them like isolated tribes that they don't have contact with white people. So yeah, it's a lot. And they say, I've just talked to a friend today that she's actually doing a movie there, that she said that probably has 30 more that they're doing, researchers that they don't have, they haven't contacted yet. So yeah, we have a lot. Fortunately, we have a lot of indigenous people in Brazil. So the question for us is, First of all, what do these people have in common? Like, okay, they have different way of living, but what do they have in common? And what they have in common is nature. The rhythm, like nature definitely defines their lifestyle, their pace, their rhythm of living. So this is something that they definitely that they have in common. And then we start thinking about, so how can we learn with these people? How can we accommodate their philosophy and also their knowledge and their wisdom in our movement? This is something that we have to look, yeah, because it's such a big part of Brazil. So I know, like when we started the program, the Children Nature program, we looked mainly for the urban kids because I think it's an emergency, I would say. But we have so many kids as well, like living like off the nature, like by the river, in the forest. So we have to learn with them, like there's so many. So how can we integrate them? And how can we accommodate them in our Children Nature movement in Brazil? So, when I was maybe like 15 years ago, I started a nonprofit organization. The name is Firefly Association. Firefly is vagalume in Portuguese. So myself and two more friends, we spent 10 months. We did like a 10-month expedition in Brazil, in the Amazon. So we visit pretty much like the 9 states that belongs to the Amazon in Brazil. And we developed a social project there. So we were delivering libraries for kids. And with the libraries, we would give like a training for the community to be the reading mediator. Does it make sense? Like how the people would make the connection between the book and the kids. So I spent maybe like 15, yeah, maybe like, no, like 10, almost 10 years doing this project. And when we were there, like traveling around and getting to know the Amazon, like the Amazon, Brazilians don't know the Amazon. The Amazon is pretty far, super expensive to get there. The logistics are not very friendly. So people there live pretty much isolated. And when, as Brazilians, when we see the Amazon, for example, in the TV, the information that we have, it's always like about the fish, about the river, about the plants. We never hear about the people, why they live there. So myself and my friends, we were super curious about how people would live in, like how people used to lives in the Amazon. So we decided to make this project. So when we were traveling there, we said, wow, this is so amazing. These people, they have so much such a beautiful culture and so much knowledge. Like people in São Paulo, people in the big cities, they have to know this part of Brazil, that they are also Brazilian. So we had this desire to connect people from the Amazon and with the people from São Paulo, just to maybe like bring more like how can I say, maybe like one Brazil, understand, like it's part of our culture as well. So we started this program. The name is, in Portuguese is Rede, in English would be network. So it's the network or fireflies. And pretty much what we did, we started a dialogue between the Amazon people, like kids and educators and in the Amazon, in the rural communities, with schools in São Paulo, that it's like a huge city. You guys will have the opportunity to see a picture of São Paulo. So the Amazon is in the yellow part of Brazil. It's almost like 60% of our territory. And São Paulo is over there. And only in São Paulo, for you to have an idea, we have 18 million people living in São Paulo, in one city. It's like insane, yeah. So our desire is just to make this connection. So I think it's worth it to, can you help me? I'm gonna show you like a short movie of this communication. This movie, we made it in 2004. It was exactly when this dialogue started. And after you see this, then I'm gonna explain how this program is up now and how we, as Alan Institute, how we got involved in this program.
uma vez Patrícia, Ronisandro e Arthur. Eles moravam numa vila chamada Santa Rosa, perto de Cruzeiro do Sul, uma cidade no meio da Amazônia. Era uma vez Gabriel, André e Isabela, que moravam no bairro do Paraíso, numa agitada cidade chamada São Paulo. Em São Paulo haviam milhares de pessoas, entre elas Thaís, Carlos e Beatriz, que viviam no bairro do Campo Limpo. São Paulo era tão grande que Gabriel, André e Isabela, Thaís, Carlos e Beatriz nem se conheciam. Um certo dia, uma vagalume chegou a São Paulo. Pousou na escola onde as crianças estudavam e perguntou a elas se gostariam de fazer amigos na Amazônia. Propôs às crianças que mandassem livros novos acompanhados por mensagens. Ela se encarregaria de levar os livros e trazer uma resposta. Os meninos e meninas se empenharam em mandar para os novos amigos os livros que mais gostavam. Estavam curiosos para saber como era a Amazônia. Ficaram só imaginando.
Elefante, onça, baleia, peixe, peixe-boi, peixe-gato, peixe, cachorro. Lá tem mais dificuldade para chegar aos livros e lá é mais difícil de chegar mais professoras.
As crianças de São Paulo deixaram seus endereços em cartões postais e ficaram aguardando uma resposta. A vagalume foi embora com a mala cheia de livros. Voou para longe, sobrevoando a gigantesca floresta amazônica. Chegando em Santa Rosa, reuniu seus amigos e entregou os presentes. Havia uma biblioteca na comunidade, que ficou iluminada com a chegada dos novos livros. As crianças da Amazônia ficaram muito felizes. Responderam os cartões postais, curiosos para conhecer aquelas crianças que haviam enviado livros de tão longe. A vagalume despediu-se e foi-se embora voando mandar as respostas e agradecimentos para os amigos de São Paulo.
Eu queria saber também como que é aí na Amazônia, se é bom igual aqui em São Paulo.
A minha vida aqui eu acho bom, porque aqui a gente toma banho mais legal, brinca. A de lá ninguém sabe como é a vida deles lá. Muita gente aqui tem rua com asfalto, tem um trilhão de calçadas.
São Paulo tem muitas coisas ricas, mas aí na Amazônia, pra mim, eu acho que tem muito mais.
Que é mais calmo, que mais tranquilidade. A gente pode sair para passear, tomar banho no garapé.
O que vocês gostam de brincar?
Eu gosto de brincar da pira, do mata ajuda. A pira é a gente correr aí se não pegar já é a pira.
As brincadeiras que tem mais aqui em São Paulo é jogar bola, esconde-esconde. Dia de férias, mês de férias, assim, a gente solta bastante pipa, joga bolinha de gude. Queria saber também se aí na Amazônia tem esses tipos de brincadeira.
A peteca aqui na comunhão a gente joga muito, aposta. A gente casa uma e o outro casa a outra. Acho que lá tem parque, as brincadeiras mais legais.
Lá tem um bocado de coisa que aqui não tem. Como assim, castelo grande, né? Assim, prédio aqui não tem. Garapé grande que a gente possa tomar banho, lá não pode.
Porque lá é uma cidade muito enorme e aqui é pequeno.
Depois de realizar seu trabalho, a vagalume se sentiu satisfeita. Agora iria voar para outras cidades e convidar outras crianças a fazerem parte dessa história.
Gostei muito mesmo do livro que eles mandaram, né? E o Bruno também, que eu peguei o livro dele que ele mandou, muito bonito também.
Eu gostei, né? Foi bom. O livro que eu peguei, tudo foi bom, não achei nem ruim.
E foi assim que começou a Rede dos Vagalumes. Desde então, Rony, Patrícia, Arthur, Gabriel, André, Isabela, Thaís, Carlos, Beatriz e muitos outros tornaram-se amigos e trocam cartas e livros.
Um beijo.
Okay, so at this point, like what they were exchanging was only like letters and books, but so this was in 2004. But nowadays, what we do, the kids they meet. So for 1 year, they exchange like letters and also like projects when they talk about their lifestyle, especially their relationship with nature. And then at the end of the year, they have the opportunity to meet. Like we have like a camp with them. Like, so what happened is, as a coordinator of the Nature and Children project in Brazil, I said, I have to go there and talk to these kids, at least listen to them, like, how do they perceive the environment? Like, how is their relationship with nature? Even like the kids from São Paulo and also the kids from the Amazon, because usually we are talking only with adults. We never listen to the kids very often, especially when we work in, like non-profits. We are always talking with people who takes care of the kids. So I thought it was like a very good opportunity just to understand a little bit more. And it was quite surprising, the results, and I'm going to share with you now. So this is São Paulo, just for you to have an idea. It's quite big, I know. And this is the Amazon. This is the type of communities that we work with. So the context of São Paulo and the Amazon, like the Amazon, as you know, is like a huge tropical forest. We have probably like 50% of the world's biodiversity there, and it occupies 60% of Brazil territory. São Paulo, on the other hand, we have 2.6 square meters of green areas per person. The international, usually they recommend that we should have 12 square meters per person, and we have only 2. So it's quite challenging for the kids in São Paulo just to have contact with nature. And instead, we have an enormous contradiction. In São Paulo as well, we have lots of kids that they have the highest rating of human development, but on the other hand, it's the city in Brazil that there are more like kids in the street. And yeah, and in the Amazon, like 50% of the youth live in families below the poverty line. So pretty much we will talk about kids that are very wealthy, that lives in São Paulo, and kids in the Amazon that they are quite, that they're not wealthy at all. They're quite poor. So what we figure out, first of all, when I went to this camp, pretty much what I did, I would just talk to them quite a lot, and I also promote some group plays that I could observe how they would deal together and how they would relate with nature. And when I would ask them, what do you like nature? How do you feel when you are in nature? All of them would say, I'm very happy when I'm in nature. I feel super, like, it's a place that really gives me freedom. So freedom, like, I feel very free. I'm very happy. So it was very noticeable that all of them would have the desire to go to nature. The source of knowledge, like when they learn about nature, where is this knowledge comes from? The kids from the Amazon, they learn a lot from their families, but they also say that they learn a lot from the school, but 80% they learn from the families. And in São Paulo, they only learn from the school. So it's pretty much not a direct contact with nature. They learn about nature from books, from the internet, from reading, and not with direct contact. So we could easily see when we observe them, because the kids in the Amazon, why? Because they are always outside, so they have a very good coordination. They are super strong, and they have a very strong body. And the kids in São Paulo, they are super. They talk a lot. They're all the time talking. Because they have so much stimulus. So that's the way that they relate to the others. And the kids from the Amazon, they are more in silence. They don't talk very much, but they are very active. So I invited them to build like a boat together, and it was interesting to see that the kids from São Paulo, they would take the leadership, they would talk that, oh, we should do like this, we should do like that. But at the end, the kids from the Amazon, they were the ones who were doing the boats. They had the technique. So it was interesting to see how the relation, the contact that they have with nature really defined the way that they were also relating to each other. And they were super shy. The kids from the Amazon, they're very, very shy. They feel very intimidated with the kids from São Paulo, but what made them connect was the body language as well. When we had a party that they were dancing, then you could see that their similarities were getting close. They were dialoguing with their similarities and not with the difference. Does it make sense? So the body language really connected them, and this was very interesting. And when I would ask for the kids, but where do you like to play in your free time? What's the best place for you to play? 60% of the kids in São Paulo, they would say, at my house, at my apartment. And the kids in the Amazon, they would say, oh, I like to play outside. I like to play in my backyard. I like to play in the football camp. That's the football field. That's where they like to play most. And if you ask for the kids from São Paulo, but why? Why don't you play outside more? And then I think are the barriers that pretty much are the same here in the United States, that the access is super hard. They don't have access very easily to natural places in São Paulo. All the activities that they would say that they like to do, it does not relate with the space. It's always something related to internet or video games and things like that. They mention, 30% of them mention about technology. And parents' lack of time. I have it's part of our culture in Brazil that we have people in our house to help us to take care of the house, and so this scene is very common that you see the adults with the small kids in the playground just helping them. So the kids in Brazil, they in the urban cities, they are very busy because they have a lot of classes throughout the day. If they're not in school, they're in English class or swimming class, or pretty much they don't have time. And when they are outside, there is always an adult looking after them. So they are never by themselves. And the school system, this is what impressed me more, because I really thought, oh, the school in the Amazon, they are there in that beautiful forest. They probably take advantage of it. And what we see is that they are pretty much the same. All the recess time, their recreation time, is indoor, even the school in the Amazon, and they don't have time. Pretty much they have 15 minutes per day of recess, and in these 15 minutes they have to eat. So pretty much they are inside the classroom all the time. So the school, it does not take advantage of the forest, of the nature. Pretty much the free time in nature is not valued there. And what we see is that in São Paulo, we now see schools making an effort to go outside, because they are trying, now they understand that it's not very good for the kids just to stay inside, so they are trying to use the creative to take the kids outside because it's not very easy with the urban barriers that we have. But in the Amazon, it's the other side. So they are like far. What I think is like maybe in 10, 15, 20 years, the people who live in the Amazon, it's going to be exactly the same as the kids in São Paulo, because it's the same way of growing and developing. They don't value the nature very much, and and the school does not connect with the environment. And then I would ask for the educators, but why don't you take the kids outside? And then they would say, well, we have the parents that really ask us to keep the kids inside because they're worried about their safety and they're healthy, and also there's the violence outside. What is true, this is different from United States. It's not a phenomenon in Brazil, it's real. And also the educator, they don't have a training for that. Where pretty much they don't know what to do when they are outside in the classroom. And in São Paulo, it's more challenging because there are not like green spaces there. And behavior, I think I have already talked about it. So the conclusion that we made is that when kids from different areas of Brazil, when they meet, they do think about their relationship with nature. They think about like when the kids from São Paulo, when they talk to the kids from the Amazon, they say, "Wow, you have such a nice life. You go to the school like by boat. You can swim a lot. I cannot swim in my city." So it seems that they are very nostalgic with this relationship with nature, that they were not aware of it. So it brings an awareness of their relationship with the nature. And it's funny because you see them saying all the time, "Oh, you have to take care of your environment. You cannot take it for granted. It's so amazing the life that you have." And this is actually very exciting because the normal thing that could happen is the kids from the Amazon go to São Paulo and feel very intimidated. But in this dialogue is the other way around. They are the superheroes, because they are there in the nature. They have a beautiful knowledge of the natural environment. So what we think that this is a very efficient strategy of connecting kids to nature, because at least they reflect and they think about their relationships. And in both ends. So the kids from the Amazon, they said, "Wow, I have such a wonderful life, and I didn't know about that." The fact that I know about the fishes and the plants, it's really valuable. I didn't know about this. I was really taking it for granted. And the kids from São Paulo, they start realizing that they don't have a lot of contact with nature, and they realize that they miss that they really want to do something different just to have more nature in their life. So it's very interesting. So what I would like to share with you, when I went to this camp, there was the time that the kids, they would sit down together for the first time after this 1 year exchanging letters and projects, and we film their conversation. So I edit for 5 minutes, and I would like to show it for you.
O que vocês acharam do nosso trabalho?
Eu achei muito bom as cartas e vídeos, na verdade tudo, porque tem muitas coisas que eu não sabia que agora eu sei, como na hora de passar em perto do rio tem que fechar os vidros, isso eu não sabia.
Porque o nosso rio, como ele foi canalizado, eles despejam muito esgoto lá, e aí fica muito
fica com um
fedido.
cheiro muito ruim. E é um rio também muito poluído, né?
Tem açaí, tem caju, tem jambo, tem
que é jambo?
manga.
Ah, eu gosto de
Jambo?
Eu gosto de jambo.
Jambu tem outro nome?
Jambo.
Não. É jambo.
Não
Eu
conheço
acho.
jambu.
Jambo é uma
muito
fruta meio
bom.
roxinho. Olha lá, aquela árvore lá da jambo.
Como você sabe que aquela árvore é de jambu?
Porque lá em casa tem.
Ah! E você?
Tem algum...
Não, e
Tem
eu
alguma outra árvore assim na
jambu,
sua casa?
caju,
Tem
açaí.
muruci, tem açaizeiro lá também, tem pajurá.
E você
pra
conhece
jurar.
assim?
É uma fruta que a casca dela é meio dura, só que o cheiro é bom e ela é boa.
Você reconhece assim?
Se eu te mostrar uma planta, você sabe qual é?
As árvores.
Mais ou menos, porque tem algumas. Depende das árvores.
Eu conheço, assim, poucas árvores de fruta, porque lá não tem muita fruta, tem mais planta, tem mais ipê, tem bastante.
E o que vocês mais gostam de fazer?
Como São Paulo é uma cidade que tem muito movimento, eu não posso sair muito e brincar assim na rua, que nem vocês falam que vocês jogam bola e sai para subir no açaizeiro. Eu não faço isso. A gente fica a parte da manhã inteira na escola. Tem dias que eu fico a tarde inteira porque eu faço treino de vôlei. Eu faço inglês em uma escola que é fora da escola mesmo, então é uma outra... Tem duas escolas. Tem a escola Sante e aí a escola que eu faço inglês.
E no terreno de vocês moram em prédios?
Normalmente, a maioria das pessoas que vivem em São Paulo moram em prédio. Mas tem gente que mora em casa, só que gente que mora em casa acho que é muito perigoso morar em casa. Então elas acabam morando nos apartamentos. Porque como São Paulo é uma cidade muito grande, tem umas partes que existe, sabe, desigualdade. Então tem uma parte que tem pessoas mais que são mais ricas, assim, tem as que são mais pobres. E aí essas pessoas, elas acabam sofrendo mais violência. Vocês entendem? Sim. Mas eu gostaria de morar em uma casa. E você gostaria de morar em São Paulo?
Mais ou menos também.
Por quê?
Porque nós tivemos também lá, né, que o rio lá é poluído, então pode até causar doenças também.
Hoje ninguém mais entra no rio.
É proibido.
Já teve época que muitas pessoas entravam.
Você gostaria de conhecer a nossa comunidade?
Lógico!
Adoraria.
Como que funciona lá? Tipo, como que é uma comunidade? Eu não sei.
Uma comunidade é assim. É que nem, por exemplo, aqui. Só que bem aqui passa a rua, só que não é asfalto, é terra mesmo. Aí de cada lado tem casas e de outro lado também.
Lá tem um prédio?
Não,
Só casa.
só é
Nenhum
casa.
prédio. E as casas são assim, que nem essas de...
Casas
Tem
são
umas
assim.
de barro.
Tem umas ainda que são de barro, que antes eram os que nós somos descendentes de quilombolas, e era eles que moravam lá antes. Aí as casas deles eram tudo de barro.
Ah, vocês manteram a casa, então, de barro.
Aí,
Pote de barro, panela de barro.
Aí agora é tudo artesanato que virou.
Pode caçar assim?
Pode. Mas contanto que não casse aquele tanto só pra estragar. O meu pai é assim, se ele caçar duas, ele pode até vender, mas ele tem que tirar pra nós, mas também só o suficiente, que não é pra estragar lá. Porque o que adianta ele matar se vai estragar tudinho. Aí ele não mata. Mas ele só vai pra caça assim quando não tem as coisas pra comer. Por exemplo, se nós estamos precisando de dinheiro, ele vai pra caça, quando chega de noite ele já traz. Aí a mamãe prepara tudo e faz a janta.
Você conhece todos os peixes também?
Mais ou menos, porque eu conheço a piranha, o pirarucu, o tucunaré, o pacu, o bocó, o jacundá, que é um peixe que nós não comemos, tem o carauaçu, tem o cará, tem a sardinha, tem muitos outros lá.
Eu conheço a maioria.
Eu conheço
piranha.
Que tem lá na represa também, já picou,
Sardinha,
me
eu
picou
conheço.
assim.
Sardinha também.
Sardinha conheço, eu já pesquei sardinha.
E o facão sobe como?
Tem que colocar ele aqui na cintura. Tem que circular.
Vai pulando.
Tem que pular.
Dois pés.
Tem que pular certinho.
Dois pés.
Desse jeito.
Paulo, chama a Lais Fluery pra ver isso.
Cadê ela?
Aê!
Vai.
Vai no pulo.
Just some closing comments. Yeah, I just would like to share that after that, we were asking, like, does it make sense to promote this dialogue with the educators because kids spend a lot of time in the school, so maybe it makes sense to promote this dialogue with the educators as well. So we have this project, a second project in Alana Institute. The name is Territory of Play. And pretty much what we do, there is this, we go to these communities and we listen to the kids, we document, like we understand how they play when they are in nature, they make their own toys. And in São Paulo, we disseminate this culture of childhood. So we made, so we invited the educators to share this experience with us. So we invited them to recognize a different way of doing things, also to watch what kids do outside school, because usually these kids that are very efficient and very resourceful are the kids that go worst in the school. So what are these kids doing outside school? And also expand the discussion between culture and education. So if you want to know about this project, because I was going to show this movie that relates this research that we did about how kids play in nature and how the kids the educators in São Paulo, how this work touches them and what do they do when they see this kind of work. But anybody is interested in this, I can give you the website. I'm happy to share. 5 minutes. Yeah? Okay.
O que fazem as crianças fora da escola nos seus momentos mais espontâneos? O que elas têm a nos dizer atrás dos seus gestos, das brincadeiras? E o que tudo isso ecoa para um educador? O convite do Território do Brincar para as escolas parceiras foi para a gente olhar e dialogar em conjunto sobre o brincar de tantas infâncias pelo Brasil. O Território do Brincar é um projeto de pesquisa, registro e difusão da cultura infantil. Um trabalho em correalização com o Instituto Alana e com a parceria de 6 escolas.
partir desse criar, né, diante dessa possibilidade que eles têm com esses materiais, eles estão exercitando tudo, na verdade, né? Criatividade, imaginação, eles têm que discutir, eles têm que negociar, eles têm que resolver.
E de repente eles começaram a trazer canos, né, de PVC e outras coisas, começaram a trazer para a escola aquilo e construindo brinquedos. E faziam em casa e traziam. Até que uma mãe falou, meu filho, no menino do 7º ano, pediu de dia da criança um tubo de PVC. Então o menino que podia pedir um monte de coisa, pediu um tubo de PVC.
Quando a gente viu as imagens das crianças da comunidade pomerana, a criança com aquele serrote bem pertinho do dedão do pé, um martelo, mexe um pouco com a gente, porque a gente vai cercando as crianças numa bolha. Não pode isso, não pode subir na árvore porque é perigoso, não pode andar descalço porque está frio, não pode ficar sem blusa, né? E quando a gente descobre que essa potência está ali posta, né? Que as crianças vão mexer com o serrote, pode acontecer de se machucar, pode acontecer de cair da árvore, que bom, né? Eu fico pensando, eu quando era criança, eu não corria porque eu tinha medo de me machucar. Tudo bem, eu me machuquei, mas também não sei correr, né?
E trazer as ferramentas era uma coisa que assustava. Então, o que vai acontecer? Vão martelar o dedo, vão serrar? E não aconteceu nenhum acidente. As crianças se mostram, se organizam, os conflitos são resolvidos por elas. Então, elas realmente mostram que elas são potentes.
Não, tá molhado. Vai parar.
O duro é a gente, professor, aguentar, porque a gente foi formado para responder.
O educador é treinado, ele é treinado nas formações de faculdade de pedagogia. Assim, sempre intervir. No fundo, é isso que a gente está fazendo, gente. O território do brincar está mostrando para a gente se recolha. Se recolha.
A escola da vida, que tem escola lá fora, tem escola na praça, tem escola, né, na beira do mar, tem escola embaixo da árvore. A escola ela é maior do que 4 muros e professores e toda uma estrutura. O território do brincar mostra bastante isso, né? A escola a escola da vida, né? Acho que traz bastante essa aprendizagem.
Por mais que não seja a mesma cultura, a mesma tradição que eles têm, acho que dentro daquilo que a gente se propôs, a gente conseguiu ter esse olhar e perceber que o território ele é um só, né?